Hello, I'm Robin Battles, and welcome to another episode of I'm Just Saying at the kitchen table. This episode is all about Claire. I'm getting ready to put her house on the market, but there's something unique about Claire that you'll learn in the first few minutes of our interview. And what I hope you take away from this interview is some tips about being an elderly seller, or if you've got parents that are older and they're moving away from their home after being in their home for 40, 50, 60 years or more. Claire's got some really good tips and she's got some great insight. I hope you enjoy this edition of I'm Just Saying at the kitchen table. How old are you?
92.
92. Okay.
And I don't mind that at all.
Okay. I don't mind you being 92 at all.
Well, I'm really 91, but I'm going to be 92 in June. So I go with I lasted longer.
You left. And a spunky 92 too.
Yeah, it is.
And so the reason I really wanted to have this conversation is because I work with a lot of clients that they're elderly. More than just directing it toward age it's very difficult for people that have lived in their home as long as you have, which is how many years?
60.
And tell me a little bit about your family.
But the family?
Yeah.
Okay. I have three boys and one girl. And the oldest one is 65. And the youngest is 50.
And how long have you been married?
I've been married 70 years.
Okay. And sadly, you lost your husband.
A year ago.
A year ago. We were just talking the other day about how quick that time went.
It went very fast. But I guess I don't have any regrets as far as giving him all of my love and him returning it. And he was a very private person, and he worked for Jet Propulsion for 42 years, and we had a good, not a big income, but we were very happy here, and that's part of the reason why we lived here, was because it's so close to Jet Propulsion Laboratory.
So let's let people know, where do you live? I don't need an address. I just want city and the neighborhood. Tell me a little bit about what it was like living here and raising the kids here.
La Crescenta was a wonderful spot for us to have picked. We used to live in Altadena.
Okay.
And we moved here because we were expecting our second child, and our other house only had one bedroom. And this was kind of a retreat. It was a step up from where we had been, but we figured that's how we were going to go, because basically we did not spend a lot of money on a lot of things that didn't have any necessarily value. We had the arrangement that if I didn't like it, we were going to motel it, and he did get up early in the morning, got the fire started, and got coffee going, and he made sure I liked it. So, yes.
So the arrangement was, if you didn't like it, you had to say you didn't like it.
That was the arrangement. He would know I didn't like it. I would make sure
I think that's kind of true nowadays. I think if my husband knows I don't like something, he knows I don't like something.
Yeah. Yes. No. He was a very special person. That's all there is to it.
Oh, that's great to hear. So fast forward, what was it like to decide? Tell me about that whole part of why you decided now is the time to sell the house. What was happening? Tell me that story.
Well, basically, I really did not have any intention of selling the house. I just finished doing all the repairs and the things that I wanted to have here. And I know that sounds stupid, but when we bought the house, it was yellow. And in between time, it became blue. And then when the house was I could have gotten along without doing anything, but I was going to live here. This was how I was going to end my time here. And it was going to be back at a yellow house again. And so I know that sounds...
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
It sounds so dumb, but Cosette and Dennis know a contractor that was very reliable, and because since I'm here by myself, she wanted to make sure that whatever the company was, that they had people that were trustworthy and so forth, so that I would not be having people coming in and out. So all I was going to do was get the house painted. Okay, fine. Well, then we get the house painted, and then, we had gutters, but they leaked occasionally. Okay, take those gutters down and put some new ones in. And I love working in the yard, and so it was getting kind of hazardous going down the side yard because it was just plain rocky. And so it became, okay, I have to have poles put in so that I can walk down there safely. Okay, that led to that. And then I had a sprinkler system. It wasn't working that well. So, okay, we'll put it into a sprinkler system. So we went through that. I don't know, but when you start one thing, it seems like it just keeps going.
It's a snowball.
It is
a snowball.
It is.
So you're doing all these things
doing all these things because I'm staying
here. You're staying. Yeah.
I have a driver's license that was going to expire in 25, and that seemed to me to be a fairly good number. And so that would be when I was going to do it. Okay, fine. Well, 4 children, and none of them live in California. So I have 3 that live in Oregon and 1 that lives in Washington State. Actually, it's on one of the islands up there. But it was getting to the point where I was causing them to constantly worry about me falling, me doing all kinds of things so that they would have to come and meet for an emergency type of thing. So this last holiday, since I was alone, my daughter insisted that she wanted me to come up there she gave me, I could go Thanksgiving, I could go this particular, anyway, it was a Christmas holiday. And so she made all the arrangements. I was going to fly. A neighbor was going to take me there. I mean, she is in touch with most of my friends here. I don't know whether they think she's a busybody or what, but anyway.
I think your daughter's just like how I treat my mom. It's like you're always talking and making sure everything's okay.
That's right. And it fell on her mostly. And her husband, Dennis, her husband, was getting concerned because she was spending so much time working in their office, trying to figure out finances, trying to figure out where this doctor is, where this one is. And while I was up there, it was really Dennis that convinced me, because we had gone to see a convalescent place up there. And it was wonderful. I mean, a very nice place, but I still wasn't. It was nice to keep in the back of my mind that, this is here. Okay, so one evening, just Dennis and I were sitting in the living room, and he just said, Claire, I want you to think about this, really, because you notice where Cosette is. She's in the office, and we're sitting here watching a TV program. And she spent nearly all day long that particular day just doing my stuff. And he said, it's not fair. And it isn't. It falls on the girl usually. Not that my sons weren't doing anything,
but that's how my family was. I mean, when before my mom moved in with my brother now in North Carolina, I mean, you take on the responsibility of taking care of your parents. And thankfully, my mom has her kids to do that, and you've got your kids to do that, because a lot of people don't, which would make this whole situation even scarier.
Yes, right.
but it's like a revolving door in here. I mean, there's friends and, and I mean, so with your family so far away and you being here, you do have a very strong friend support group.
I do.
And they're all very nice and they can't leave the house without you making them take something.
Well, and now what they're doing, it's interesting because I have these stuffed bears, and it's been wonderful. The neighbor next door is taking care of their grandchild, and so they have been so wonderful. The neighbor themselves, as far as bringing our mail in and moving our trash barrels over when they're supposed to be picked up.
So can I send you backwards for just a second?
Yes.
And we'll come back to the neighbors for a minute. So you're sitting, I want to take you back to, you're sitting in the living room with Dennis and he's saying it's not fair to Cosette and she should be spending time. So basically the decision came down and let's also make sure that everybody understands. You're not going into convalescent care. You're not sick.
No.
You're very active. I mean, I think that you, at your age, I mean, the things that, and we'll get to what's been going on here at the house, but I mean, the energy that you have and you're not shy to voice an opinion about something. If you don't like something or you want something else done, you're going to tell us where it's at.
Yes.
So you make this decision that you're going to, it's time to sell the house.
The time is now here, but...
What's that like, though? What's that like? What's that moment like?
What actually happened is the fact that we saw this convalescent place, and it had all criteria, excepting it was 750 miles away.
Just a detail. That's a commute every day, Claire.
Yeah, but it was one of those things that, okay, I'll think about it. But it also was put off for me because they had no opening, so I couldn't get in.
So you had time to think about it.
Yeah, so in the back of my mind, I thought I had a year because they said they couldn't tell when they would have an opening. Sometimes it was a year and a half, sometimes a year.
How long ago did you get the call that, so tell me kind of timeline of, so you're sitting with Dennis and then you see this convalescent.
Okay. This is like the end of December.
Okay.
This is when I was up there, and so then,
and we're in March.
We're
about
and
three
she
and a half
lives
months
and they live in Grants Pass, Oregon, and it's not a big town. There's still things that I would be interested in. There's a big lots.
There's a big lots. It's all about
that's
shopping.
Very important for me.
It never changes. It's all about the shopping and the food, right?
Yes,
but it's close to Dennis and Cosette too.
And so it was like it just hit me too fast in a way, and yet at that point I thought, okay, we still have to qualify. I mean, I felt health-wise I'd qualify. You have to qualify financially. You have to, I mean, there's a lot of things that they're not just taking.
It's like buying
anybody.
a house.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right. So, and it was here again. It was all Cosette and her getting things together. So basically, I know the other day somebody said to me, "Are you getting sad about leaving?" And I said, "No, I'm too busy to get sad."
Well, so should we talk about, so now you're going to move into this place up near Grants Pass, and let's talk about the first time I walked in the door and what the house looked like and then and now what the house looks like.
I'll say one thing, and that is that I think probably from the time we moved in, I always had in the back of my head, if I ever sell this house or we ever move, it's going to be Robin that's going to be doing this.
Really?
I mean it personally. I mean, you were just up the street.
I lived up the street from you.
And I felt like I felt like it won't be a big deal because Robin is like family, according to what Cosette kept talking and
Aww.
Dennis and what have you. And I felt like I won't be alone. I can't tell you. I mean, it was like you
That's
always.
the sweetest thing.
Yeah,
That
but
is
you
the
always
sweetest
have been.
Oh.
I mean, I never intended to move. I don't need
We have never ever.
No,
we've never talked about. I
No.
mean, I've never gotten a call from you years ago saying, "Hey, we're thinking about selling the house," and I get those calls all the time because they're, some people are preparing for this for 5, 6, 7 years, and and we just stay in touch. But I just send you my little letter
your cards
or whatever.
kept coming.
I know. Yeah,
See, your cards kept coming,
Yeah.
and of course, recently it's a flood of cards,
Right.
not you, but from other
Right.
real estate people. But it was okay because Robin's just up the street, and then
I'm here. They find out I moved, but it was like I was still up the street. Now I'm just across the way.
But and it was not from them. It was not. It just like I just told Cosette. I said, "Well, I'm selling the house. I'm having Robin." And she said, "Oh, really?" And I said, "Yeah, she's just up the street. And not only that, but she did this thing for our friends down the street, for Penny and Phil. And you always have been, whether you knew it or not."
I had no idea. I had no idea. So walking in here and and meeting Michael for the first time and sitting right. Okay, so what I think people should know, because they can't see where we are. I mean, we're in the kitchen at your kitchen table because this is where everybody gathers, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. And I remember sitting here with you and Michael and when I got here the first time to see the house.
Oh,
I mean, it was
unreal because basically
you had a lot of stuff.
It was stuff all over, and Cosette is every time she would visit, she would say, "Mom, why are you keeping all this stuff?" Well,
but that's typical.
But
that's why we're talking.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I grew up with the Depression. I grew up with not having anything, and so I was. I mean, whatever I had, I cherished. I cherished it. And now it's given me good vibes when my friends will take my stuff because it's like I'm leaving a remembrance. And it was the same way with my plants. Whenever I give plants away, I would always say, because I have the same feeling, that when I'm in the yard and I see a particular plant, oh, this person gave me that. Oh, this person gave me that. So when I give my plants, I feel like they're doing the same thing. They're thinking of me when they are tending their plants. So I'm going to have a hard time, I think, up there because they do have a garden club, and so I'm planning to join it. I've never gotten into a club as such.
But you kind of have your own club here. I mean, it just wasn't formally named. You met everybody at the pool, and that's kind of you're the pool club.
That's right. Because
so you kind of think of it
people
like that.
there were like weeding out or cutting back on some of the plants, and so, oh, well, could I have one? And so this becomes, pretty much what it.
So you're kind of taking. It's like you're trying to take your memories and pass them off, thinking you'll be remembered, because it's like you're breaking up with your house, and everybody has the way to kind of move on to the next house.
That's nice. And I will say that, my friends are getting up there pretty much, and just about everybody that I know, they don't live in an apartment, they live in a house.
Mm-hmm.
So I have friends that are going through a very similar thing. And one particular friend came over and said, "You need to do this." And I said, "Well, what about you?" And she said, "But I have family. Yes, they live in Manhattan Beach, but live in California, and they're available. Where
It makes
you
a
don't
huge
have
amount of
this. But I didn't feel I needed it because the next
Your neighbors. Talk about your neighbors.
Oh man, they are a wonderful couple. And you know, another thing that I think about, and I think also my friends are in the same boat. We're sitting in these houses with 4 bedrooms, and we only need one. And people out there are looking for other things. And I'm thinking, this house is gonna be wonderful for whoever comes to live here, because we do have a quiet neighborhood. We're get together if there's some emergency or something. Because when we had the fire up here, I was in a wheelchair and I couldn't get to the top of the hill. So I was sitting on the patio, and the neighbors were on the top, and they're all convincing about what's going to do. Are we leaving? Are we not leaving? And then, some of us decided we're going to wait until we get the alert.
When the sheriff drove through here at 2 o'clock in the morning, remember that?
So I think we may not be personally involved in their family, but you know what? When there's something really happening, we get together.
This is very true about this community.
So this is the neighborhood to be in. No, we don't have sidewalks and that kind of thing, but the kids that are on the block now, I just in awe, because I'm living my children's life again. Seeing them playing ball, seeing them with the bicycles, and all the things that happen on the street. There's just, I don't know, there's just a tenderness, there's just a togetherness. Everybody is out for looking after the other guy.
Yeah, when they really have to.
Yeah.
They really, they're doing their daily lives, but when something, we live in the hills. And it's a different way of living. And when, that big station fire came through, I remember people that I hadn't talked to. I lived up there for 15 years. And then all of a sudden you're talking to all these people, and you're standing in the street at 2 a.m. watching the flames move across the ridges, thinking, okay, what are we going to do? Yeah. And it brings a whole different humanity to a community, but they're still like that. Yes. What's it like? Because a lot of the times when I meet with friends like you, I'm going to say we're friends now, because I know you. You've liked me. I was so excited. Such a compliment. But I walk into houses, and when you've lived in a house for 60 years, and that's true of a lot of people up here in the foothills, because there's a lot of people just like you that raised their families here and are still here, but their kids live somewhere else, and they've got all this stuff in their house. Right. What's that process been like?
In the beginning, I knew I need to get rid of things. I don't need five of this and that many.
Has it been hard? Because I know we kind of set up a plan for you to go, start at this room and go to this room.
It was hard because there's so much. There's so much in the cabinets. There's so much. My kids are after me about how many boxes I can take. I know my son said, you're going to have to get rid of some of your clothes and I said, I'm not getting rid of my clothes. And you know why? Because I don't know whether there's where I'm going, if there's a fashion thing, and I'm not going to be outdone.
So wait, does that mean I still have to look good when I walk in the convalescent place?
That's correct.
Is that it? See, like today, you look fabulous today, by the way.
Thank you.
The pretty pink and black sweater on. You look good. And you, every time I come here, you're always very gracious, and you always look nice. And, and you have been, there wasn't a surface when I walked in here the first time. And I know a lot of stuff had been kind of ripped apart because Michael was here starting to dig through things.
Yeah.
But when I first came in, probably 3 weeks ago, there was stuff everywhere.
There was. And part of what happened is we know there's certain things that I can take only in a one-bedroom, small apartment type of thing. I have to only keep the things that are going to work in this place. So Michael was the one that was one less, we got to get rid of that, we got to get rid of this, we got to get rid of it. And unless it was something really, really personal, I mean, something my husband gave me that was just absolutely couldn't get rid of, it was my time. It was my time to let go.
I feel so Michael was here really ripping the heavy, big stuff apart and getting people to, to come buy some things and really getting some momentum going. But once he left, then we kind of devised a plan of going room to room.
Yes. But the one thing you telling me was don't concentrate on getting stuff out of the cabins, concentrate on what is all around. And I think that it didn't hit me the first time, but the second time you came back, then I thought, well, I don't have to do this right now. I can, let's just do this. Let's just get the pictures off the wall. Let's just do. And it wasn't, I kind of told myself, okay, if I do 2 hours a day, then that is, and I'm counting 30 days.
Well, in 30 days because all the kids are coming to help you.
But at that point, I wasn't taking that into account. I was just taking, I've got 30 days, and if I do this, then it will eliminate some of what my kids have to do. And in many ways, I have to make the decisions of what even things that are in the cupboard, whether I want to keep them or not. And then in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, if I take these extra sheets and these extra towels, my grandson just bought a house up there, and I know it's furnished but it's not completely furnished. I'm sure he could take extra towels. I'm sure he could take whatever. And maybe I'm on the wrong path. And maybe when Cosette and Dennis come back and they'll say, but by this time it's too late because I've already got
You've packed extra stuff in there. But I kind of felt like the way once Michael left and now that everybody's coming back together 30 days from now to help you actually move up there. One of the things that I thought would help you was it puts you on your timeline and it wasn't someone kind of hanging over you saying, hurry up, make the decision.
Yes.
And I think that's a big part for a lot of people. I
think one of the things that helped me was I put the SOS out. Any one of my friends, is there anything I have in the house that you would like?
Yeah, we didn't put a big dumpster in front of your house and just start throwing things away. I have been carefully going through things and you were making the decision where things are going and who gets them or people wanting them. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just because I think one of the fears for some people is that they're older and they can't make these decisions and people are just going to come in and just throw everything in the dumpster and not give them their time to.
This was what I was afraid of. If I'm not here to do that, and I know Dennis is one, you don't keep it, you get rid of it. And if you want it, you buy it again. I mean, that's his thing.
But I think that's also our age difference too, because you and my dad are of the same generation and you didn't just throw things out. I mean, he would still eat bread, would pick the mold off of it, which I mean, you couldn't, if it's one day past the date.
This is what I hate. This is what I hate about when my kids come. Oh my gosh, my youngest one, Neil,
We're going to throw all the kids under the bus
He
now.
didn't go to catering school, but he's done something, probably watching programs or something or other. And when he comes here, he takes over the kitchen. And I just about krill.
Why?
Because he'll go in the cupboard. Oh, your Tabasco, your paprika is outdated. Throw that out.
You only use paprika once every 10 years.
He threw out so much stuff. And when he left, I said, I would love to be making pudding. And I had it's a container that it's a starter of a pudding type of thing. And I thought, it was like that. Okay, then he throws out my can opener and he buys a new one. I mean, these things happen, bought a new one. I didn't even know how to use it.
We're going to do it Claire's way.
Yes.
That's what's going to happen.
Right. And I do still have big stuff in here, big pots, big whatever, because I thought they can be tossed after these leave. Because if
you haven't just been tossing things. I mean, you've been.
No.
I think that's
finding
the thing,
homes.
Is we're.
Well, goodwill, yeah.
Yeah, goodwill and friends and neighbors and people that have been working for you. I mean, you're really taking time and effort to distribute things. Right. Claire's way. I'm going to call this Claire's way.
It is. It is.
Because I think that with this time, I've said this to you a couple of times, because when they come and they're only here for 5 days, it's going to be quite the frenzy.
It's going to be interesting because there's going to be all of us sleeping here.
Well, you're probably coming to my house. Claire's having a sleepover for 5 days.
No, I've already figured this out.
I think it'll be like the big goodbye with all the kids back. I think that's very sweet in a way.
Yes.
So we're about 2 weeks before the kids all come and get together, and then when they leave, you're leaving.
They're caravanning, and Cosette and I are flying back.
And then
maybe
after
a day
that,
before.
We're going to put the house on the market shortly after that. How does that feel?
A little bit sad. No, not sad, but that I'm not involved, that I'm not here to do whatever it was I'm supposed to do.
What do you think you're supposed to do?
I'm assuming. I mean, I would love to know what the people are like that are going to be in here. I will know because I'm keeping in touch with them for sure.
We have spies in the neighborhood.
But
can I interrupt you for a second? I want to ask you this. People will say, depending on, and I don't know if this is a generational thing or not, but people will say to me that are not in real estate, why does the seller care who's buying their house? and you just said, I really want to know. And it's one way for me to explain. I mean, I have my reasons why the seller wants to know, but why do you care so much?
I care for my neighbors. I care for my neighbors. I want what I've given here. I want the same thing back to them.
That's beautiful. That's a great point of view. And there's a thing now when we get offers from people that, it used to be the buyers would write all these we call them the love letters, right? This is my family and this is why we want your house. And at one point they said no more of that. And now they've made it, if we check a box on our contract, we can say that you will review those letters. And I always say to the client, I would love for you to check that box because I think there's something very emotional about selling a house. And I think that even for your reasons, we can't guarantee that those people that buy your house are going to be kind to your neighbors.
No, of course not.
But I've had, just to share one of my stories with you, is another lady that same situation as you, selling her house where she raised her kids and built onto their house and almost identical. And she chose the buyer out of 16 offers, which is, I can't guarantee you 16 offers. That's a little bit of a different market from a few years ago. But she chose them because they were moving in and their parents were moving in with them.
Oh.
So that the parents would be downstairs, because that's where they redid the downstairs, because when this particular client was selling, her husband was ill. And so the husband was downstairs, and then the family came up and everybody was able to live in the same house and take care of the mom and dad. And that's what, and she sold her house for, this is crazy. She took an offer for $30,000 less because she wanted that house to care for that family. So I think it's not always the money.
No.
If there was one piece of advice that you could give to anyone similar to you that's been in their house for a long time and is really struggling to make that, like they know they need to make that decision, or to push them into their making that decision, what would you say?
Oh boy. You really have to make sure that person is in the right frame of mind, because it could also go the other way and make it seem like as if your kids are taking over and you don't have anything to say.
My follow-up question to that, and this is, I'm not fishing for a compliment here, but what I would like to know, because, not everyone calls me and says, "Hey, Robin, list my house." I mean, I think they should, but deciding, and what do people need to know when they make this decision they're going to sell? Because you and I have been working together. We're 30 days out from even putting this on the market. So
it doesn't matter. I feel like you are as much a family. I don't know what this is, but because you always have been up here, what is that also had to be something in my inner way that if I was left with the house, even when the kids were small, I couldn't probably afford it. But I knew you were up there. I don't know where it came from.
I guess the question is, how do you get other people to understand? So, because I see a lot of seniors, because a lot of my clients are seniors, and I hear stories about how they're taken advantage of and how people force them to sell their houses and agents are just on them. And
well, we have had, but they go door to door. Oh yeah, they go door to door, and just, it must have been, I think Michael might have been here. So maybe less than a year ago, there was a gentleman that came, and he just talked, and he's one of the neighbors. He just lives around the street. And, I mean, if you know of anybody that's selling a house, like as if he was trying to make us think he was part of the family. And when he left, Michael said, "Well, where do you think he lives? He doesn't live around here." And I thought, see, I didn't pick up on that. But it didn't matter, because he was not going to be the one that was going to sell my house.
So it's really about the feelings. So people really need to trust their gut instincts and not succumb to the pressure that's put on them.
Mm-hmm.
But are you ready?
The thing, yes, I am.
You're ready.
I really am.
So you're ready to get out of the house. You're almost ready.
Yeah, almost ready. But
almost ready. Well, this is where I'm going to say thank you. I'm just saying I've had a great time at your kitchen table.
Thank you so much. You're so easy to talk to.
Thank you, Claire. And now we'll finish up and we'll go sell your house.
Thank you.
You're very
That will
welcome.
be wonderful. And I hope the next people enjoy it as much as we have.